Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back.
Happy Thursday. Welcome to Run It Back. Oh, Lou's tall again today. I love this. How are we feeling over there, Lou?
We good. Working on the angles. We getting them right.
Like you're on a high chair or something. Chandler, how are we? You look very tan today.
Yeah, I'm a little sunburnt, Beads. I was overserved yesterday by the pool, I'll be honest.
Don't you hate it when everyone does that to you? It's the worst.
It's not good. It's not fun. Can't be touched right now on the shoulders. It's not good.
It's radiating. We got Gordon Hayward back on the show here in a little bit. We did have a few games last night. The big one, perhaps the preview occurred. And if it was the preview, OKC looking pretty good. SGA finished with 34. They get the win. They sweep the Celtics in their little series this season. 118-112 was the final. Chet with 23 and 15. Tatum finished with 33 and 8 rebounds. And the Celtics, stop me if you've heard it before, a franchise record 63 three-point attempts. We will get to that, but we're going to start on the positive side with OKC, because considering how well they played against the Celtics now in their two games, should they 100% now be the favorite to win everything? Or do you still have maybe a couple little doubts in your mind, Chandler?
I don't know if I have doubts. I know that they can now go and beat them, in Boston in that kind of crazy environment without Jalen Williams. This was their most impressive win all season long, and it was a collective effort, right? Jalen Williams goes down. You start Cason Wallace. Between Wallace and Joe and Kendrick Williams, they make up 30-plus points and kind of find that production from somewhere else. SGA, just another night, another 30-point game with shooting over 50% from the field. They put Boston in so many scramble situations where they were just flying around, blitzing the right guys, and Boston just couldn't make shots. They 63 threes. It's not healthy. It's not healthy, but listen, yes, I think this kind of shows people, shows media, shows the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yes, we're young. We haven't been great in the playoffs yet, but we are more than capable. We have enough to beat anybody. If we play the right way, we are the best team in the league. And I think they kind of put people on notice the last two times they played Boston that we're not scared and let's do this come the finals time if they can get out of the West.
Yeah, no Jalen Williams, Lou. That's a big win last night.
Yeah, I got to agree with Chandler. I wouldn't go as far as saying that they should be the favorites right now. They've been the favorites to come out of the West this entire time, but to win it all, that remains to be seen. There's going to be a lot that changes between now and then, and especially in playoff basketball, where teams key in. The scouting report is different. The game plan is different. You always take something away in the playoffs. You take away a player, you take away a favorite set. There's going to be some adjustments that OKC is going to have to make. That's where the experience of the Boston Celtics is going to come in. They're going to know how to play a game inside of the game to put them in a position to be uncomfortable come that time. And so that's going to be something that we're going to have to see down the line from OKC and how they're going to adjust to those type of things. But agreeing with Chandler, this does give them the confidence to know that they can compete at the highest level with the other teams that are considered some of the favorites as well.
I'm glad you mentioned the experience. This is just fun numbers, right? Thunder players experience playoff-wise, 178 games played. On the Celtics side, 839 playoff games played. So it's a crazy discrepancy. The three-pointers, they were 8 from 50 from three in the second half of both of the losses that they had against OKC, which reeks of sort of a desperation mode. But there are reports, I should say, it's not just one, that there are players out there lingering who seem to be okay that they're on the OKC side of this bracket if that were to occur, which just says they don't respect them, Lou. So what do you think about that? I do feel like when the media we talk about it, it seems.
I think it's Cap.
Oh, I thought you thought it's Cat. I was like, wow, you just put a name.
Listen,
on the other side.
in my 17 years, I've never had anybody interview me or ask me about which side of a bracket that I prefer to be on. Because if you are in the National Basketball Association, I know y'all like what I say it all the way through.
I love it.
You should know that standings change by the day, they change by the week, they change by the scenario. So you never get married into worrying about who you're going to play in the first round until it's solidified. This can change all the way up until the day before. So I've never experienced something where you're asking guys, what if you play this team and you're not worried about it? You shouldn't be worried about anybody. That's going to be your natural response as a competitor. Now, you do have some teams that duck and hide, that try to put themselves in a favorable matchup with teams, but that comes a week or two in advance when this thing is over. Not right now where we are in the season. So the fact that it's saying there are reports, put an address on it, put a name on it, put a face on it. Until then, I don't respect it. I think it's BS.
Yeah, and look, they're 12 games up on the 2 seed, so they're going to be the number 1 seed. So this is going to come down to the play-in of who gets that 8 seed, who plays the Thunder, which I guess are all older, more experienced teams with the Timberwolves, the Clippers, the Kings, and the Mavs. But listen, I don't think any of those teams want to see the Oklahoma City Thunder. Maybe the Warriors would prefer the Thunder instead of the Nuggets second round. But again, now you're kind of messing with the game a little bit. Now you're kind of messing with the standings. You can't. It's way too early to even be thinking that way. But sure, if I'm an older team, like I'm the Golden State Warriors, would I rather play the Thunder 4 times and have to beat them than Jokic and the Nuggets, than LeBron and Luka and the Lakers? Maybe. I don't know. Me personally, I don't know if I'd want that. But this team is now proven they're like the Cavs. I don't care that they're young. I don't care that they haven't done it in the postseason yet. This team is deep. This team has their star players, and everyone knows their role. And it seems like when you watch them play, they play harder than the team they're playing, and they all just fly around, and they don't take bad shots. They play unselfish. It's almost like they enjoy playing defense more than offense, and there's a clear pecking order. No one ever gets frustrated. You never see any bad body language from these guys. They're just they just go out there, and they have identified their roles and play the right way, and they're winning a lot of basketball games. So yeah, they haven't done it in June yet, but they probably will this year. So I wouldn't want to see them.
And Chandler, you know what you made me just realize? Whoever they play in the playoffs, they're not even in the playoffs yet. So what player would say this? Like, whoever they're playing, it's not even in the playoffs. Like,
but Lou, so what if they didn't say? What if a player didn't say it to a reporter? What if this is just players talking to ex-players or?
Ex-player doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But what if it was just came out in the conversation like, I was talking to so-and-so and they were like, if we face OKC, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like maybe just innocent.
I get what you're saying, but again, you got bigger fish to fry. That wouldn't even be a realistic thing. Like, you have to get in the playoffs. You don't know whether you're gonna be the 7th seed or the 8th seed. So you're saying, okay, I wouldn't mind playing the OKC Thunder. What player would say this?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Who would it be?
If we're guessing,
so if you're asking me, I don't think there's a player out there that would say that.
There, I said it. It's Draymond.
Yeah. Well, also, if we're guessing who it is, then it's probably not news.
That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I know that from a talking head standpoint.
I mean, they got 5 minutes of us talking about it out of it, so that's cool.
That's a great point.
But other than that, what does it mean?
We just don't talk about them as scary. Like we've talked about the Warriors like coming out of nowhere and scaring people. Are we just taking for granted that they're the number 1 seed, they should be scary, or do we not see them the same?
It's just their youth. It's just how young. It's just how young they are. They're the youngest team in the NBA. How can we be scared of a bunch of kids in the playoffs that have never won big in the playoffs? That is what if I'm the coach going into that series, that's what I'm saying. Now, deep down, do I believe it? Do I think I'm better than this team? Hell no. This team is legit. This team has everything. This team has the MVP of the whole league. They play hard. They defend. Statistically, they're top 10 in every single stat. So I don't care what their age is because they are a fantastic basketball team and they are fearless. They just went into Boston, big bad Celtics, without their second all-star and whooped up on the defending champs that everyone's just already crowning as back-to-back champs this year. I know it's regular season. I know it doesn't matter much, but that was a statement game that, listen, we are here. We are not scared of anybody. We should be the favorites. Although they're probably, listen, again, they're probably not. It's still going to be the Celtics. But again, they have no problem flying under the radar right now. They are an awesome basketball team that just continue to hoop and get better and better. And I wouldn't want to see them in the playoffs.
Beadle, my last point. Have you ever heard from somebody you're not scared of?
No.
All right, I'm gonna move on.
My fear is different, though. So can we? I'm gonna only ask this one more time, Lou, MVP wise, until Jokic has another killer game, and then we'll bring it back up again. But last night, and P.S. I know tonight. SGA had his last 2 games, big games, also both on national television. This is almost like kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Wrapping up the MVP conversation, perhaps, but also I kind of love that a small market team that everyone's already talking about, so that's not going to be great ratings, is now been on national television crushing 2 games in a row. So I know you're SGA all the way. I just want to hear it again, just for my own satisfaction.
I think at this point he has all things working for him. All cylinders are a go as far as this conversation goes. He has the national media of attention. He has the respect of his peers. He's going out and winning big games. He's going out and having big numbers while doing it. They're up big on the first seed. There's not a box that he doesn't check, that he hasn't been able to do what needs to be done, that we created this argument from this year to last year for him to go out and get the MVP. So some of the things that were mentioned or said that he needed to do to even be considered in this conversation and do the things that he needs to go out there and do, like these highlights we're watching, he's went out and done it. So I think at this point it's a closed case.
Yeah,
Done.
It's a wrap, Beadle. Literally, knock on wood, unless he doesn't play the rest of the season, the MVP is his. And as far as the ratings, it's interesting. If you follow this season and you know basketball, the Cavs and the Thunder would be a hell of a finals. NBA prefer the Celtics Lakers 1000%. That's going to get the wow factor. That's going to be the 2 most traditional historic franchises in the NBA. That's going to be bigger headlines. But as far as basketball and 2 of the best teams in the league that are young and fun, exciting to watch, Thunder Cavs would be awesome, in my opinion. It wouldn't be sexy. It wouldn't be big markets, but those 2 teams deserve to be there, and those 2 teams could be there. And again, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but I don't care about that. Would be a hell of a series to watch if it's Thunder Cavs.
Never too soon to get ahead of yourself. Also, unless your last name is like, if you're Mr. or Mrs. TV executive, I don't want to hear an argument from ratings from anybody. I don't care. It doesn't affect us.
You work for the league or the network?
What are you, like, network guy? Like, stop. You don't care. I don't care. And also, the future needs to be like, you can't live in these weird Lakers Celtics rivalry days. Like, we want the game to keep going. These are the future stars. Shut up. That's what I'm trying to say. The threes. When they go in, it's quite fun, and wow, it's intimidating. But a 63 3-point attempt night for the Celtics. 20 of 63 is the math on that, if you want to hear it. 9 of 22 in the first, and then just awful in the final 3 quarters. It's a lot, and we can talk strategy and what the Thunder did to sort of force them to do that, Lou. But that has to be something they can adapt if it comes down to this kind of a game, right? Like, if the Celtics can't do this in a final situation.
Yeah, well, the Celtics already shown you they're willing to die on this hill. Like they're a jump shooting, they're a jump shooting basketball team, and they're gonna live and die by the 3. They're gonna live and die by their mid range, which is funny because they have 2 of the best guys in the league that are capable of getting to the line and getting to the rim. But they love the 3-pointer, and they're willing to go out on it. So is this something that can be sustainable? Well, they want a championship with it, but OKC opened the Pandora's box. They threw a 2-3 zone out there, and they forced them to shoot threes at a high clip, even shooting some from guys that you probably wouldn't want to shoot a bunch of them. They just changed their game plan a bit, and it worked. Now, is this something that they should adjust? I think this comes as a game-to-game basis, but more so than anything, OKC found something that they can put in their back pockets that they need in the future if it comes up.
Yeah, I don't know the sweet spot for number of threes that's appropriate, but it's not 63. That's too many. And it's crazy because they don't even get to the rim that often. Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, they're a lot of mid-range type game. And even when Porzingis is in the lineup, they like to throw him the ball kind of off the block, and he still goes mid-range. So they're not attacking to the rim. They don't get to the free throw line that much. And this is the live and die mentality that they have had success with. But this is why you see them blow teams out when they shoot 50% from 3 or better, or they can lose a lot of games when they don't shoot a high, percentage from the 3. And there was a play last night where it reminded me of that viral Ben Simmons play where he had the layup and he didn't get it. Drew Holiday had the same thing where he had a wide open layup like 4 minutes to go in the game. And I think it was an accident. Clearly he didn't see it, but he had a wide open layup and kicked it to the corner for a 3. And they end up later in the possession, end up getting like a dunk and an easy bucket. But it was so weird that that's their mentality. They would rather a contested 3 almost than to attack the rim. And they've had success. Again, it's easy to knock them when they don't make shots, or they take 63 threes. This worked all last year. I just think teams are adjusting to it. Teams are throwing different defenses and different schemes at it. That's making them harder. That's making them force, quicker threes or harder threes contested at the end of clock when they're scrambling so much. But again, I don't know if it's 50, 55, what's the number, but 63, it's a lot of threes, man.
They were outscored 18-0 in the paint. Just that's sort of reflecting what you just said. I just want to quickly touch on a marketing moment for Converse that was pretty good. This is what Converse did after the win, reflecting SGA's logo on some pretty big landmarks in the Boston area. And now SGA is so quiet, so it's funny, but I love the idea of they just sort of made him an enemy. Do we like this branding?
I love it. If I'm SGA, I don't know if the average person even knows what that is. So I think Celtics.
Really?
I don't think Celtics fans leaving the arena understand what that is. Yeah, me looking at it right now.
Beautiful. Well, now they know. So that's why it's good marketing. Now they know.
I love Converse, putting their guy, repping their guy after a dub on the opposing team's arena, but the average fan has no clue what that is.
Well, I think that's why it's brilliant, because they certainly looked it up and they certainly know now.
And I was signed to Converse back in the day. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Converse is or was Boston based at some point. If I'm not mistaken, at that point, I know they got bought out by Nike and they're partners now, and they're kind of under their umbrella. But I think they're Boston based, and so this might be a play at marketing as well. But I
like it. Kudos. Another game that happened last night: the Knicks in Portland. Mikel Bridges, this is a big one. Big game-winning three, a 25-footer at the buzzer, 114-113 overtime win. He finished with 33. They now are 2-2 on this road trip that they're currently on. It's 42 lead changes in this bad boy, which is just one shy of what would have been the NBA record. A game like this on the road, a team coached by Chauncey Billups, for those who didn't know. What do you think about it, Lou? Hey, Chauncey.
I thought it was a good win. They needed that, but 43 lead change just tells me that they were fighting for it. That it was a battle to get that win, and they needed a game winner to pull that out against the Trailblazers team that are turning the corner, having some positive moments. But they're still not one of the premier teams that you would consider they would go head to head with at this point of the season. But you give them credit. A win is a win, especially on the road when you're far away from home without some of your star power. So much needed win, and they needed it. Big morale boost.
Yeah, a win is a win in this league, and you can't ever knock getting a win. But I mean, this took a 30-foot game-winning buzzer beater against a rookie that didn't switch out on time to beat the Trailblazers.
Wow.
It's tough. Like, again, that shot goes out. I think we're nitpicking this game, and we're talking about how they turn the ball over, or how they, it's a completely different story. Dude MIKAL hit a huge shot. That is a big time play. But if we're talking about the elites of the elites, and again, things happen. The Lakers just lost to the Nets the other night. Like the Celtics just lost. Like this happened, but this didn't look like a championship team to me last night. Like they were in a dogfight all game long, which again, these teams are going to play hard. I know there's a lot of tanking talk, but the Blazers, they've been balling as of lately. But at the end of the day, this took a heroic shot from Bridges just to win this game. And literally that's Klingdon's welcome to the NBA moment too. You got down up 2, you got to switch out there. You can't be that low, on that switch there. But again, the Knicks needed this, and looking around the league, I feel like they're the team in the East. The Cavs and the Celtics are up here, and the Knicks kind of took a big step back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the no Jalen Brunson. It's a big hit for now. There was a story yesterday, kind of all day long. Mikel Bridges going up to THIBS and basically being like, "Let's cut back a little bit on the starters' minutes. The bench deserves more time." Bridges said that THIBS had been receptive to it, but then a microphone was put in front of THIBS' face, and we get this version.
Well, we never had a conversation about it, but the facts are the facts.
Well, that was a little technical difficulty, or maybe just on my end. 2 different stories is really all I wanted to hear there, Chandler. And then by the way, he goes on to break down all of the minutes. But what do you think?
This also just goes with the fake news stuff that he just straight up said they never had a conversation about it. So whoever reports this that he asked is just it's not true. And again, it's weird because I've never really heard of a player asking to play less. It's always the other one. But when you look, he still played Josh Hart 42 minutes last night. He still played OG 43 minutes last night. Bridges still played 40 minutes. McBride played 38 and Towns 38. So whether the conversation happened or not, obviously this is always going to be a talking point with a Thibodeau team because he's got his 6-7 guys that he trusts and he plays them extremely hard and extremely long. But he just said they didn't have a conversation. So I don't know who knows if Bridges ever said this, but again, I do think it's too much certain nights. I think when the game's out of control, I think he leaves his guys in a little bit too long back to back. So I think he can kind of space his rotations out a little bit, but this has been Tibbs' DNA. This has been Tibbs' culture. This is how he's coached his entire career, and he's had a lot of success, but he has had a lot of injuries also. So I'd like him to find a little balance, but I know if I'm a player, I'm not asking my coach to play me less ever.
That's a great point. That's a weird thing to hear about.
Tibbs. Unless you play for Tibbs, where you play 38 minutes a night for years at a time, and guys' body starts to break down, and you're not giving yourself the opportunities that you feel like you could if you had 2 or 3 less minutes going into the postseason. Other than that, you absolutely don't ask your coach for less minutes at all.
I can't imagine. But isn't that kind of why we look at Celtics, Cavs one tier, and then the drop off to the Knicks? Because with the Knicks, there's no cavalry coming. Like if things hit the fan, those other 2 teams have like a whole nother lineup they can put in. There's nobody coming.
Well, there's no depth, but then also you just look at the work the Knicks have done against the good teams this year. They legitimately have not beaten a good team this year. And I know obviously it's regular season that can change in the playoffs, but they don't have one good win against, the Thunder, the Cavs, the Celtics, and now Jalen Brunson's out. Just feels like they definitely kind of are in that lower tier of those elite teams.
Guys, we got video. We haven't had a good one of these in a minute. We haven't had a Steven Adams moment in a minute. And damn it, I miss him. So let's check out Adams and PLUMLEE from last night. Bing, 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 bing. All right, this is a little fisticuffs, a little scuffle. There is blood. They do both get ejected, and I sometimes when the blood shows up, I don't know if that changes minds, but do they both deserve to be ejected? This is that's a fun
I like it. I like the fact that PLUMLEE went on and tried to slam him and throw him out of there. And he didn't move. I like the fact that both guys stood on their guns, and I'm willing to go down to the ground about it. You see one guy that got a little nicked up out of it, and you see another guy laughing and walking off. So I don't know who got the best of who, but I love it. Every once in a while, with all of the play fake tough guy stuff and guys pretending like they want to mix it up, waiting for the referees and coaches and security to get in between you. I like the fact that every once in a while it's 2 guys that's about business and they go ahead and mix it up the best the way they can. It's gonna cost you some money, cost you some time. PLUMLEE, it costs you a little nick on the forehead. I like when it gets like this. I like it when it gets a little
Kevin
dirty.
Durant. Kevin Durant's just like, okay, and then he just have fun.
Not my. That was a one-on-one. I'm staying out of that.
I'm not getting
Make
in
sure
that.
everybody get out of there.
I love it, and I love the fight for Mason PLUMLEE. Listen, this season's been a disaster for the Suns. You have to have this fire. You have to have this kind of energy to kind of to show that you want to play, you want to win, you still care. So I love this. Steven Adams is a bad man. It's funny because years ago there's a viral video of he got him in the air and he kind of helped him down between these same 2 guys. Now it's for in 2025 and they're going at it. I love it. I think it's awesome.
I know. I miss having like an Adams moment. If you're putting money on it, it's Adams. We taking Adams in a fight for real?
Did you just see see one guy getting patched up and the other guy walking off laughing?
That's like serial killer vibes. I'm all in. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk LeBron. It's not my fault when we come back. You buying that? Rick Bucher says that you got to have 10 years of service and 3 championships. I love it. To be considered a Laker great, and that LeBron, by those standards, is not an all-time Lakers great. Lou, you buying that?
No, I'm not buying that. So with that logic, Shaq wouldn't be an all-time great. He only played 8 years with the Lakers. did get championships out of it, but he falls short on your time commitment part of that argument. If that's the case, by 2005, would we say Kobe Bryant wouldn't have been a Lakers all-time great 8-9 seasons in when he still has the championships? Like, putting a 10-year part on it is one thing. Putting a championship part on it is another. Putting them together is a ridiculous argument. So
It's tough.
listen, yeah. So again, what is actually your criteria? 10 years and 3 championships? If that's your criteria, I'm not buying it, because 2 of your biggest all-time Laker greats at some point in their careers didn't meet that criteria. So I'm not buying it. So I'll take Kobe out of it, and I'll just say Shaq. Shaq didn't play 10 years with the Lakers. He played for the Lakers for 8 years. Is Shaquille O'Neal not an all-time Lakers great? Stop it if you say that he isn't. So no, I'm not buying
Okay.
that.
So the 10 years
Yeah.
seems to be a big one. Yeah. That's tough.
There's a
10's
lot
hard.
Also, there's a lot of great players that don't have 3 championships that have played for the Lakers.
True.
So it doesn't make sense at all. LeBron is already a Laker great. Listen, again, there's so much history here with the legends that have come before him, but he won a championship already. The impact he's had, the turnaround he's had, the elite level of basketball he's playing with at his age, like everything that he's done so far definitely puts him in that category. And I disagree full-heartedly with this.
Do you know what's interesting though? And I do talk to a lot of like radio wise, a lot of callers and whatnot. And it's interesting to me that Lakers fans, still Lakers fans, but they don't love LeBron. Like they don't consider him a Laker the way they have sort of embraced and loved the Kobes of the world. So I do find that interesting. And by the way, that could switch. And I'm wondering what it would take. Yeah, it's just
different.
a different vibe.
Kobe is homegrown. Like even the Shaq argument, Shaq basically forced his way to the Lakers back in the day. That's where he wanted to play. And this was LeBron's 3rd stop, and so he's not a homegrown Laker. He's on different time, but he's still LeBron James. He broke the scoring record with you. He won the elusive bubble championship that many people have mixed reviews about whether it's a legitimate championship or not. I think it's legitimate because I wanted it like hell. So I'm not going to be one of the people that say that it doesn't count. I wanted that championship. He's went out there and accomplished things in the purple and gold, and he's going to be recognized as a person to do some of these things in the purple and gold. So I think when it's all said and done, that would change. That part of the conversation will change because he did these things on your team. But I understand where the Laker fans come in and say that we don't really put him on the Kobe level because Kobe was homegrown.
It's interesting too. It's interesting too because he's a Laker great. He's a Miami Heat great, but in my eyes, he's a Cleveland Cavalier. So but you can go other places and still be great. You know what I mean? Like to me, Shaq, being from Orlando, he's a Magic player. Like when I picture Shaq, I picture him with a Magic jersey on. It doesn't mean he's not a Laker great. Like, you know what I mean? So you can have success in multiple different franchises and leave an impact there and a legacy, which LeBron has already done in LA.
Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting conversation. It changes. It's fluid. Moving on, Doc Rivers said that Giannis deserves more recognition, Chandler, and he's already become a forgotten great player in the league. Are you buying that?
I don't know if he's forgotten. I think that the lack of the team success that they've had this year, he's not in that same conversation as the Jokic's and as the SGAs. But the more games they win, the better he plays in the postseason. I think he'll be talked about and respected more. But listen, the guy's stats are unbelievable. I think he's still top 5 in MVP voting. He's an all NBA type player. He's got multiple All-Stars. So I think he's just gotten a little lost in the shuffle this year with just how good SGA and Jokic have been. But I think he's pretty much respected. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. The minute he qualifies for that, he's a champion. He's one of the greats. He's one of the greats that the league has ever seen. So again, maybe this year we're not talking about him as much, but I disagree with this. I think people still talk and respect and know who Giannis is.
What's going on over there, Lou?
This is where I think Giannis gets lost in the sauce and criticize whatever. I feel like Giannis hasn't added pieces to his game. As you get older, as you evolve in this game, you got to add something, and you usually see guys add something. Like we saw Shai add pieces to his game from last year to this year. Jokic has been way more dominant this year than he was last year. Like you see guys adding a piece. I want to see Giannis add a piece to his game. That mid range. We were talking about his mid range earlier in the season. Kind of got away from it. Add the three ball, add something to your bag that we hadn't seen. I think it's just more of the same. And once they kind of had some turbulence earlier in this year, and then they kind of righted that thing, that kind of put him in a tricky position. He was in the MVP conversation, but I would just love to see Giannis add something to his game for that to happen. But I don't think he's one of the forgotten greats. I think he's still top 4, top 5 in this league. I just would love to see him add something to his game, and I think that would help that argument.
All right, Lou, you're up first on this next one. Steve Kerr said that when it comes to skills, Steph is the greatest of all time, and that the way he impacts games is different. You buying that?
Initially, I am buying that. As great a shooter that Steph Curry is, I don't think he gets recognized for his ball handling. I don't think he gets recognized as much for the way that he can finish around the rim with his left and his right hand. And obviously, him being a three-point threat, can shoot the ball all the way from the parking lot. He has a mid-range game, too. Floater game, all of these things. And that adds up to you being a skilled player. If you can reach in your bag and impact winning in a lot of different ways besides what people recognize you for, which is going to be his three-point shooting ability. But he can do it all. Steph can do it all. So is he going to go down as one of the greatest all-time skill players? He's in that conversation. I haven't done an in-depth dig to really combat somebody else or give him something to feed off of that's different in this argument. So right now, I will probably say he's right. So I'm buying that.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, shooting is a skill, and he's the best shooter of all time. And again, I think because he's so good at shooting, people sleep on the attention that he should get on his ball handling, on his passing. There's another guy that's still playing right now, Jokic, that's pretty skilled. LeBron James is pretty skilled. Like, there's a lot of other guys that are still, even Kevin Durant at his size is pretty skilled as well. So that he's got some stiff competition, but I do agree that Steph it's not just his shooting, the attention he draws from other defenses, the vision he has on the court, passing the rock, and obviously his shooting is undoubtedly the greatest of all time, but he's not just a shooter. He can do it all. So he's definitely in that conversation as one of the most skilled players of all time.
We got a little tank talk here, Chandler. This is for you. NBA fined the Jazz $100,000 for not making Lauri Markkanen available for a game on the 5th. And I'm wondering if you're buying that this will ever stop teams from messing around.
I mean, I know Ryan Smith, and he's really, really rich. I don't know what $100,000 is. If that's what it costs to go get Cooper Flag and lose this game, then I'm sure that he's perfectly okay with doing that. Again, he could come up. They could come up with an actual injury or like a back spasm or an illness.
Migraine.
They could be a little smarter with this to save your money, but I don't think this is going to stop these lower echelon teams from trying to go and get a generational talent like Cooper Flag. It's worth it when it comes to a player like that.
And by the way, as a side note, Lou, last night, Lauri Markkanen went from questionable to available after this fine came out. Not do find that to just look, it could be a coincidence, but it's good timing.
Could be a little quinky dink.
It's kind of adorable. Theo Pinson, Lou, this is you, believes that Jokic, when it's all said and done, will be a top 10 player of all time. And I go to you because I know you love lists and you have your current running top 10 at all time. So do you buy in that?
I mean, yeah, I'm buying it. I think he's put the work in. He has the longevity. He has the championship. He may go out and get 1 or 2 more or championships before he disappears and go worry about his horses and do his thing in his hometown. But other than that, he's going to continue to build on his legacy. What he's been capable of, he's already put himself in a lot of these different conversations with a lot of different people. So I'm not much of a top 5, top 10 guy because this changes and it's an invisible crown that a lot of guys have. But I'm buying the fact that a lot of people will consider Jokic a top 10 player when it's all said and done.
We need to keep the list at all times, Chandler, so that because when we do this, we just add people, but we don't ever subtract. So I'm like, who's coming off of a list of 10, right? This is tough.
Yeah, that means a really, really, really good player has to come off the minute Steph Jokic go in, you know what I mean? So there's still time. They're still adding to their resume. Again, they still add championships and stats and MVPs and all NBAs, but who knows? Listen, he could already be in some people's top 10 player of all time. I've heard some people already say he's one of the greatest centers of all time, which kind of puts him in that 5 to 15 range already. So yeah, I'm buying this, that another 5, 7, 10 years, however much longer he plays, whatever he does adds to his resume, he could easily be in the top 10.
And that's why I always thought the top 75 was weird, because I was like, well, that's going to change 1,000 more times. So you just keep adding. I get top 200. It's weird. But anyways, we got to talk local Suns writer Dwayne Rankin reporting, because we're moving ahead in Phoenix. We got to figure out what the future looks like. And he's saying that the Suns could actually receive 4 first-round picks and a rising star for Devin Booker in a potential trade. Chandler, are you buying that they'll get that much?
I mean, yeah, I look around at the other trades that have happened recently. Like, look at what Rudy Gobert got. And if I'm the Suns, I'm holding Devin Booker to that standard. This dude is still young. He's not even in his prime yet. He's a two-way player. Saw the impact he had on Team USA and how valuable is. Coach Kerr spoke volumes of him, that he was their kind of, key player in that. And he's always been consistent. He's a great dude. He's a scorer. He defends. Yeah, I would probably give that up for a guy like Devin Booker. He's a generational talent that I think also has kind of been lost in the shuffle this year. And because when you're losing games, you don't get as talked about as much, but that's a haul. That's a lot. But look what, they just gave up for Mark Williams. They just gave up, look what they give up for these players, and Devin Booker's in a whole different category with them. So I definitely would try and shoot for the stars here if I'm the Suns, if I'm actually going to get rid of a Devin Booker.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, take a quick break. On the other side, Gordon Hayward joins the show. We'll see you in a minute.
The running back. Run it up, the running back. Run it up, running back.
Let's rock, let's roll, tick-tock, let's go. Gordon Hayward, wow, let's go.
I like the wow. He's back. Gordon Hayward's back on the show. Good morning, good day. Thank you again for coming on. Real quick before we get to the good stuff. Have you figured out how to dribble the cube yet? That's for Chandler. I didn't want him to have to ask.
No, the product has not changed. You still can dribble.
Okay.
And by the way, I appreciate you
check
guys
again.
showing those highlights every time I come on. That's a nice touch. I like that.
Also, I just realized the game winner in Dallas was literally against me, so appreciate that, FanDuel and Run It Back.
Hey,
Awesome.
man. You got to show the good, the bad, Chandler. You got to keep it real. Okay, we got to talk a little MVP here, because it's been going on this whole season. SGA seems to have wrapped it up. We've seen him and Jokic now twice in back-to-back games, which is a lovely surprise last week. But who do you have winning this thing?
Yeah, I mean, you could go either way for sure. I think both guys are putting up incredible numbers. It's just insane to see the efficiency, I think, from SGA at the guard position. I think that's what's really insane. And Jokic having 30, 20, and 20 is out of this world without even trying. It looks like he doesn't even try when he's playing. But yeah, I think you got to give it to SGA because of the way his team's playing. His team success, they're number one in the West. I think you got to give it to SGA.
Yeah, Gord, you and I, we both played with SGA. I was with him when he was a rookie, so I could see the writing on the wall, but he wasn't quite there yet. But you got an opportunity to see him in that OKC jersey, and he was starting to turn that corner, becoming the player that he is today. What did you see that made him so special, being his teammate?
Yeah, I mean, it's the behind the scenes. He's just like all the greats that you guys have played with, that I've played with, where he's putting in the work, he's putting in the time. It's not a fluke as to why and where he is and how he's got there. I mean, he's always in the gym. He's putting in the extra time. The thing that to me was so fun to watch, just getting a chance to watch him up close, was just his poise and patience and footwork. I mean, his footwork game is incredible. And it's like he's never rushed, because he's one of those players that's not, it's like he's quick and has a great first step, but he's not super explosive. He's not, he doesn't have like Derrick Rose explosiveness or old Russ Westbrook explosiveness. So everything that he does is just all skill based. His footwork, you can go right, turn back left, go left, turn back right. He stops. The breaks that he has, the deceleration that he has is best in the league, and that to me is what's really impressive because it's not just a God-given athleticism; it's a skill thing.
Gordon, I have a question about Jayson Tatum, but first I have to ask you, how much is Colgate paying you for the backdrop that we got going on back there?
You guys, it's the last question. You have to look ahead. Okay, go ahead. Tell him, Gordon.
Well, Colgate, you guys know we're athletes. We got to take care of our whole bodies,
There it is.
and our mouth and our teeth is not an exception to that. You know what I mean? And so, partnering with Colgate here, I get a chance to watch my alma mater, Butler, which Chandler, you also know a little bit about that.
Wow.
And they're the Big East
This is just a
tournament,
roast Parsons episode.
but they're coming out with an active prevention system, and you got to take care of your oral health. It's toothpaste, toothbrush, mouthwash, and so
The
I'm
whole
here to be able to
shebang.
talk about that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself there. I didn't
He
look
did.
ahead. Paul Pierce, let's talk a little crazy stuff he's been saying lately. He said Tatum is the most underappreciated player because he plays for the Celtics and that the Celtics are the most hated franchise in the NBA. You play with Tatum. Why do you think he has this rep, or why do you think he's underappreciated?
I guess I haven't been paying enough attention, but I don't know how he's underappreciated. I think he's known as one of the best wings in the league. He's seeing him up close. He's had it all from day one, and he's only gotten better. They won the whole thing last year. I guess I don't understand that take.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta agree with you.
It just goes to like the Team USA, him not playing, him being disrespected, him not getting talked about as much when he's the best player on the best team, trying to compare Jaylen Brown to him. I think it's more along those lines where just like you don't talk about him as much. You talk about the Jokic's, the SJs, even the Giannis's.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that I don't know if it has to do with the Celtics. I think it's the numbers that SGA is putting up, the efficiency that he plays with, the numbers. I mean, Jokic is still averaging a triple-double. Is that right? I mean, it's just one of those things where that's it just seems like they've had a little bit more better of a season statistically. And if JT wants to use that as motivation, then he should do that. But I don't think I think guys around the league know and appreciate how good he is.
Yeah, absolutely, and even his teammate. But and you see it in the West where you have Luka, you pair him up with LeBron, and then there's all this talk about best duos. But you still got Tatum and Brown. Do you still feel like those two guys are the best duo in the league? Because I know you play with both of those guys. Are Tatum and Brown the best duo, or would you give that to LeBron and Luka now?
Wow.
Well, that's an interesting question. I think that some of that's going to depend on health. I think if LeBron and Luka can stay healthy, I don't think anybody wants to see them in a 7-game series, especially in the playoffs where the game slows down and those two are arguably some of, if not the best players in the world in the half court with the ball in their hands, and in the playoffs too. That's a different deal. And so I mean, but JT and JB just won last year, and they've certainly been through the experiences that they've had. Even going back to when I was on the team, you can't teach the experiences that you gain from losing in the playoffs and being in those moments, being in those situations. And they've had some health issues too. So I think a lot of it's going to go down to health. Can you make it through that grueling 2 months after the season to get to the finals?
I know you saw the hoopla around the LeBron confrontation with Stephen A. And I'm sure Stephen A's had things to say about you during your career at one point or another. When you see that video, were you thinking, I should have done that, or I could have done that, I'd like to do that? Did you ever have a moment where you wanted to confront one of the talking heads?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all have moments where we want to confront the talking heads, because a lot of the stuff that they say, they just don't know what they're talking about because they're not with you in the locker room, or they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They have some source and they're getting secondhand information. But me personally, I would never do that in public like that. I don't think that's the time or the place to do something like that. So
Okay,
Absolutely.
the public thing. All right.
Gordon, I want to ask you about LaMelo Ball. Recently, it was stated that he wants to be in a winning situation, and not just be an all-star, not missed an all-star, and how these things have been affecting him. What would you say what's more likely, him being traded or moved to a situation that would fit him, or they put better caliber players around him in Charlotte for him to continue his career?
Yeah, that's an interesting situation. LaMelo and I still text from time to time, and me and him have always been really cool, and so I respect him, and I think it's as we see with the Luka trade, nobody is safe. Nobody
Absolutely.
is safe, and I think that he is. This is going to be like his fourth or fifth. Is this his fifth year? Coming up on his fifth year, and
Coming
for
up on
him, I
5.
think he needs to focus on getting himself right so he can play as many games as he can. From a franchise situation, they got to figure out, can we win and can we build around this guy? And I think that's a question that they have to try to figure out. It's been tough sledding in Charlotte with the amount of injuries, even when I was playing there, the unfortunate events of having injuries. But that's a decision that they got to try to figure out. If I'm LaMelo, I'm just trying to get myself right. I'm trying to get myself as healthy as I can be, because I got to prove to the league that I can carry a franchise, because he's proven that he can do it for 10 games, 15 games. But as you guys know, it's not about that. It's about being able to carry the franchise the whole season and then into the playoffs. And that's a lot more than just 10 to 15 games.
Absolutely.
Gordon, we always appreciate the time. True dedication, however, to your teeth is if that Colgate stuff's behind you when we talk next. That's how I know you're serious. So keep it up
I
there.
got you,
We'll talk soon.
See you guys.
Run it up, run it back, run it up.
All right, we do have a game tonight. It's Lakers in Milwaukee. Reminder, of course, no LeBron for this one. Lou, you're first, because it's crazy to even say these following words out loud. Luka's hearing backlash already from some Lakers fans about his performance. He's shooting under 40% and his numbers are down significantly. So what do you say to him, or how do you see him adjusting? Like, how does this play out in your mind?
It takes time. Fans are finicky. It's going to be ups and downs, especially when you're not one of their homegrown guys, like we just talked about earlier in the show. There's going to be criticisms, and welcome to Los Angeles. Even on nights that you win games, you will be criticized. You will be picked apart. That's what part of being in this type of market does for your career. And you got to have tough skin to be a Los Angeles Laker. So get used to it, brother. Keep hooping.
Yeah, the lights are a bit brighter in LA, but games like this with LeBron out against a good Milwaukee team, Giannis, Dame, Luka needs to go out tonight, be the best player on the floor, and get this win for them. But they're a half game out of the 2 seed. Like, everyone calm down, relax. It takes time. He was out a month before the trade. It's only been 12, a small sample size. But tonight's a big statement game where, listen, I got this. This is my team. I can lead us to victory.
Real quick, Lakers Bucks, say it, Chandler.
Bucks.
Bucks.
Lou. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Go walk.
Run it up, then run it back, yeah.